Modern agriculture relies on the assumption that plants must physically consume chemical matter from the soil to survive. This framework requires constant, depleting inputs of physical fertilizer to replace the nutrients extracted by each harvest. The Keshe framework proposes a different mechanical model, where plant roots function as gravitational magnetic field entities. In this system, roots draw continuous energy from their environment without requiring physical contact with the input material. To test this localized field theory, a Mexican research group, led by Lourdes, Gabriel, and Enrique, proposed deploying these plasmatic applications across two extreme ecological zones. The first target focuses on jungle recuperation in the tropical Cancun region. The second application targets food crop stabilization for the Otomi people, an indigenous group living in the semi-arid central regions of Mexico. Both environments currently rely on industrialized agrochemical models. This creates a cycle of dependency, where farmers must purchase synthetic inputs to force short-term yields out of depleted earth. Utilizing localized gravitational magnetic fields, generated via gas in nanostate, or GANS, allows practitioners to establish self-sustaining food systems. This approach bypasses external commercial monopolies by focusing on field energy rather than chemical consumption. This field-based approach recovers lost indigenous knowledge, once common among Latin American communities in Bolivia, Brazil, and Chile. Centuries ago, these groups successfully cultivated crops in poor soil by spreading rough wood ashes from their cooking fires, which resulted in massive, continuous harvests. Standard agricultural science assumes these ashes simply broke down to provide trace elemental nutrients to the dirt. The Keshe framework identifies this as the phoenix effect. High-temperature fire releases the locked atomic structure of the wood, converting the material into a highly porous nanolayer, or a protein GANS. This nano-ash functions as an environmental magnet. Its extreme porosity creates a field that draws in necessary elements from the atmosphere. Once spread, the ash alters the localized field strength of the soil, attracting atmospheric nitrogen and ambient moisture into its structure. The interaction between the captured water and nitrogen ions ionizes hydrogen within the lattice. This reaction channels pure plasmatic energy directly to the plant. These indigenous practices engineered localized, self-replenishing plasmatic reactors. The energy generated by the ash bypassed the poor chemical conditions of the soil entirely. The same nanomaterials used for energy generation provide a defense against agricultural pests and fungus. Practitioners process the nano-ash into a powder and mix it with water to create a targeted foliar spray. This foliar spray functions through field interaction. It lacks the toxic chemical agents found in conventional pesticides. The nanomaterial shifts the magnetic field strength of the leaf surface. This creates a local environment that parasites avoid, effectively shielding the crop without poisoning it. Pests are naturally drawn to the field signatures of malnourished plants. Strengthening the plant's field through proper nourishment deters these parasites, much like well-fed wine trees remain resilient, while neglected olive trees attract infestation. Field manipulation also provides a method to remove artificial genetic modifications from commercial seeds. To execute this protocol, seeds are placed in a dry charcoal environment for 1 to 2 weeks prior to planting. Charcoal functions as a dense nanomaterial. Submerging the seed inside this concentrated plasmatic field breaks down artificial genetic markers, reverting the seed to its original natural state. Using field strength manipulation allows practitioners to secure their crops against biological parasites and corporate genetic lock-in. Real-world application requires specific structural architectures. Because GANS is a gravitational magnetic field entity, it must be isolated by a physical buffer to prevent direct contact with the biomass. The first architectural solution is the double-layer pot, designed for use with self-produced CO2 GANS kits. The inner sealed layer contains water and CO2 GANS. This allows the roots to absorb the energy field radiating through the barrier while keeping the physical matter contained. For existing crops, the sealed bottle method involves burying a glass container of GANS water adjacent to the root zone. Glass is the required material for these containers, as intense energy fields can degrade commercial plastics. These bottles require monitoring for internal pressure caused by the continuous release of hydrogen. High-strength polypropylene tubes provide another viable housing for the GANS. When filled with water and GANS and sealed at both ends, these tubes can be positioned around plants to broadcast the energy field safely. Large-scale operations utilize the greenhouse piping system. A central pump circulates GANS through subterranean pipes for thousands of hours. This setup continuously transfers field energy to the adjacent root systems with zero material depletion. These closed-loop architectures isolate the active material, ensuring the plant only absorbs the energy signature it needs. This allows the system to operate indefinitely without the need to replace the core GANS supply. Plant roots function as twinity magnets, extracting water by generating a matching gravitational magnetic frequency to pull it into the plant structure. Mixing a specific GANS with water inside a sealed container converts that water into a specialized plasmatic magnet, allowing for the delivery of targeted frequencies. This mechanism enables targeted elemental tuning. By identifying a crop's specific nutritional needs, practitioners engineer a GANS source to broadcast that exact elemental signature. For example, a cauliflower crop requiring calcium can be supported by burning animal bones into a nano-state powder. This powder is then used to create a calcium-specific liquid GANS. A single node is highly efficient. A small container of zinc nanogans generates a radiation field with a 4-meter radius, covering a large tree's entire root zone from a single point. Practitioners can also influence plant structure through placement. Burying a GANS node deep in the soil forces the roots to grow downward toward the energy source, anchoring the plant against heavy storms. The ultimate level of field tuning involves passive atmospheric nitrogen capture. Adding a layer of fat to the surface of the GANS water creates a gravitational anomaly. This configuration actively strips and absorbs nitrogen directly from the surrounding air. Tuning elemental fields and capturing atmospheric inputs allows practitioners to engineer localized gravitational ecosystems tailored to their specific environment. The plasmatic model moves agriculture toward a system of continuous field resonance, providing an alternative to the physical depletion inherent in chemical farming. Severing the need for recurring chemical purchases decentralizes food production and reduces the reliance on industrial commercial supply chains. The necessary components for this autonomy, copper, zinc, sea salt, and nanoash, are locally accessible. This allows individuals in diverse environments, from tropical jungles to arid regions, to construct their own production tools. Under this framework, the engineered field dictates the growing environment. Agricultural output is no longer restricted by local soil quality or historical rainfall patterns. Managing localized gravitational magnetic fields allows for agricultural production through zero-contact energy transfer, independent of the Earth's material constraints.